Well, hey there, North Park Church family. This is Pastor Luke Kiergaard, and I get to do our first looks video today as I have the privilege of preaching on Sunday. I'm going to be preaching Psalm 71, and this is actually going to be the end of our summer series, Singing the Psalms in the Summer, Volume 2. And we've been working our way through some of the Psalms from Book 2 of the Psalms. Which ends with Psalm 72. So Pastor Luke just preached Psalm 70, and that left me with a choice of either Psalm 71 or Psalm 72, and I chose to do Psalm 71. And it's a longer one, as you can see here. I've got it, got it broken into some chunks here. 24 verses, so I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to make this work in one short sermon, but there's a lot of good in here, and we're just gonna take a look at it in the first looks fashion, as far as just taking note of some things that jump out. And this is prior to an entire sermon being written about it, so I'm just giving some initial thoughts. And I kind of want to do some highlights and just show some patterns, some repeating words throughout here, and we'll just see what we come up with. So Psalm 71 is kind of interesting because it's quoting several different other psalms and kind of has an interesting structure. There's some debate from scholars as to, um, well, first of all, trying to figure out who is the author of this psalm. Some are convinced it's David, and some actually think Psalm 69 and 70 and 71 are kind of a grouping. And we do know the Davidic authorship of those other psalms, so they say this must be David too, and others think it was someone else. Some people think it might be Jeremiah, just based on the nature of the psalm and what the psalmist appears to be going through here, and the fact that it quotes some other Davidic psalms, especially Psalm 31 and Psalm 22. They think maybe it's someone who is coming after David's time, um, but who has obviously interacted with his writing. So one of those is these first three verses are almost a replica of the beginning of Psalm 31, almost word for word similarity here. And I'll show you the other big one later on, but just a lot of similar language that we're used to seeing in the Psalms. I'm going to start highlighting some things that are repeated themes here. So it's somewhat like a lament, somewhat a psalm of supplication, but it also is a psalm of praise, and kind of hard to categorize. And you'll have that with such a long psalm, um, just having multiple themes coming out. But these themes here of refuge, rescue, save me, salvation, um, calling God a rock of refuge, given the command to save me, my rock, my fortress. We'll just keep going through the whole thing to show these recurring themes. Rescue me, O my God, from the hand of the wicked. My hope, my trust. My strong refuge. Let's see how much more of that is in here. Help. hope. I might miss a couple here. There's salvation again. Do not forsake me. Revive me. And then at the end here, it really turns into praise. But we see the the answer to prayer in this last verse, especially redeemed. So there's one theme, and that's kind of helpful to see all those highlights. And I like to do that in my personal Bible, just highlighting those words or similar words that repeat. And then at the end, you see how heavy that theme is throughout the whole thing. So we could then maybe take a look at the enemies here. Wicked, unjust, and cruel man. Especially up here, my enemies. And here's what they're saying: God has forsaken him. Pursue and seize him, for there is none to deliver him. Accusers. So when he's talking about these enemies, it's almost having some tones of an imprecatory psalm. If you maybe remember hearing that word used some, in which we are, there's judgment being invoked through these psalms. And I think it's not till the end where again the enemies are mentioned. They, those who sought to do me hurt. So there's that. And then maybe one other, although there's probably a few others that we could do, is just the theme of praise and worship, which obviously has been huge in our series here. So that's going to start a few verses in. My praise, my mouth is filled with your praise. I will praise you yet more and more. Really, this whole verse is talking about worshiping God in light of who he is and what he's done for us. And this too. I still proclaim your wondrous deeds even in my old age. Proclaim your might to another generation. Verse 19 is just praising God. Then at the end, it really takes that musical turn, praising with musical instruments. My lips will shout for joy when I sing praises to you. My soul also. My tongue will talk of your righteous help all the day long. That actually reminds me of one other I do want to mark up here because it's recurring. This word continually, I think we see it 3 times here. To which I may continually come. My praise is continually of you. And then phrases like all the day. I will hope continually. All the day. That might be it there. But we had one more here all the day. I might have missed one or two, but that's a theme I really want to hone in preaching this, is this idea of this being a continual thing. And in the beginning here, he's talking about having, about taking refuge now, or saying he does take refuge, saying I need refuge now, and saying you have been my refuge. We kind of see that over and over. I need refuge now. You have been my refuge. So that's an important theme there. So this was Psalm 31 here that's quoted. Right here is much like in Psalm 22, specifically, I think verses 9 and 10, very similar language, so basically like quoting Psalm 22. So that's a few things. One other thing I want to point out that's just interesting in this psalm is this name for God here. O Holy One. Oops, I need the highlighter. O Holy One of Israel. This is kind of a rare title. I think it's only found in two other places in the Psalms. It's used heavily in Isaiah, but it's interesting to find it here in this psalm. And this is just a cool title for God because it's showing the covenant between God's people and Holy God. Just something that should jump out because it's not one you typically see, at least not in the Psalms. But a cool title, and so we might consider, in looking at this on Sunday, why use that of all the titles you could use here? Why, O Holy One of Israel? All right, so that's just a few things. Definitely not, absolutely not all that we could say about this psalm. Being a larger psalm, it's hard to justify, it's hard to do justice to it in just one sermon, or just one First Looks video. But those are some things that jump out, and hopefully that's helpful to you. And appreciate your prayers for Sunday, and hope to see you then. Thanks so much.